What's up, Carol Nation? Welcome to episode 6 of PSPN The Pod. I'm getting better about actually pronouncing it the right way, so that's progress. Today we're talking to Missy Stitchery. We're going to talk about her stitchery, her cross stitch, her all types of stitches, her Pinterest, her new website coming up, and pretty much everything that she's got going on. So, Missy, hello.
Hey,
How's it
how's
going?
it going?
Oh yeah. So what's up? You do a bunch of awesome artwork with your stitchery and your resin designs and everything. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, thank you. So I work at a call center. I have for a long time, and I really wanted something to, keep my hands busy since it was boring. And embroidery and cross stitch was cheap, and it was easy to carry around. And I love Pokemon, so it was a good hobby for me for sure. And now it's kind of grown into something where, it's basically a second job for me. I spend almost all of my free time working on it.
And did you start off with Pokemon? Was that your first go-to when you started doing them?
It was, yeah. For cross stitch, it's pretty easy to find patterns for, like the sprites from the older games and everything. And that was basically what I started with, and I just never really deviated from that very much. So.
And you say it's cheap and easy to carry around, but I mean, your designs are pretty intricate. Some of your newer stuff is just wow. I mean, how long does it take you to do one of those bigger pieces?
Oh gosh, the bigger ones you're looking at like anywhere from like 20 to 30 hours. Sometimes it's really labor intensive, especially when you're working with like a single thread. You're basically painting, one stitch at a time. So it takes a long time, but it's really the finished product is it's cool. It's always fun to see for me too when it's done because I don't always know what it's gonna look like when I start. So
yeah, it's pretty badass. Like walk us through the process because I mean, like you said, the end result looks amazing. The colors, the patterns, and everything. But walk us from the beginning. Like, how do you get everything going? Do you make your own patterns? Do you download all of them? How's that work?
Well, it depends. For cross stitch, I've sort of moved over to making my own patterns, which I have some of them up on my Etsy shop, so that's always cool to see other people make it too. But for cross stitch or embroidery, usually what I'll do is figure out which Pokemon I want to stitch. I'll look for some reference art so I can make sure I'm matching my colors and figure out, the pose that I want to do. For some of my embroidery pieces, I'll do the design, and then I've got, my tarot card series that I'm working on with Elijah Rhodes. So he does the line work for that, and then I basically use like a transfer pen that's water soluble. So you copy the design on your fabric and then stitch it, and when you're done, you wash off the transfer pen. Yeah, it's it doesn't sound very complicated when I phrase it that way, but it's definitely it's a long process.
Well, yeah, I mean, it may not sound very complicated, but just looking at the patterns and the end result, you can only imagine the intricacy that goes into getting every line in the right spot. I'm pretty sure if you make one mistake, do you have to go back and re-stitch the entire thing, or how would that go?
Well, if you mess up, there's one of two ways you can go about fixing it. You can either tear it out, cut it up with your scissors and take the thread out and start again, or you can just stitch over it, depending on, kind of where you're at in the piece. The one thing that I struggle with, and I'm getting better, but is just keeping straight lines when I'm doing, like, the tarot card outlines and everything. Those are a little bit more difficult if you mess up to go back and fix later, but for the most part, you can just stitch over it if you don't like it or if you mess it up.
So we're gonna focus heavy on your stitchery. So let's touch a little bit on your resin design. What happened to that? You had another account, a Golden Scale, where you were doing resin designs and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I still do resin, and I really love resin, but And resin's expensive, and it's another time-consuming hobby because you have to wait for, each layer to cure if you're doing multiple layers, and the molds can get expensive, and I still do it, to make like little magnetic pieces to hold needles for other people who stitch, but it was just too much to keep up on, man. I couldn't do all of it. And I really want to focus on my embroidery because that, to me, it's more challenging, and I like to be challenged, so I'm trying to focus primarily on my embroidery.
Yeah, I remember one time I told you, like, hey, I want to do that, and then you're like, no, man, that's not easy. And I mean, I don't care. When somebody tells me no, I'm going to try something anyways, but I knew coming from you that I was like, okay, she's telling me no for a reason. So I was like, okay, no, I'm not going to. If it's all that, no, I'm good, thanks. But yeah, you've been one of the longest running sponsors for the pack battles, and you've sent some really cool stuff. I think one of my favorites with the resin was when you sent the coasters for the drunken pack battles. Those were a real favorite too. Like everybody was like, those are hella cool. I want one. I'm like, well, go order one then.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites for sure.
So are you're like you said, you do needle holders, but you're kind of done with that for now?
Well, like I said, it's just expensive, and when you're trying to sell your art, marketing is, another time factor that I have to consider. And I just don't have time to run 2 Etsy stores and 2 Instagrams and really put 100% into my effort into both things. So I felt like I kind of got to the point where I had to pick one, especially once I started committing to these bigger projects for embroidery and trying to do more patterns and everything. And I might pick up resin again in the future, should I ever find myself with some spare time, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, all right, yeah, because, I mean, they were cool, but, if it's as time-consuming as it is, and it's 2 very difficult crafts to have to focus so much time for, so I understand why you would just want to back up on one and focus on the other. So do you do do you do other stuff? Like if somebody were to come to you and be like, hey, can I get, my cats or whatever, the Eiffel Tower? Like, are you open to stuff like that, or do you just kind of focus on Pokemon?
I mean, I can do anything really, but Pokemon, it's got a special place in my heart. And so, when people come to me with commissions for other things, I would definitely do it, but I'm not going to have the same amount of love for it as if I'm doing a Pokemon commission, so I would stitch or consider anything that anybody asked me for, but if you want a Pokemon commission, man, I'm your girl. That's right, I'm my house, sure.
Yeah, no, I'll plug you in at the end with all your information if you guys want to reach her for are you doing are you open for commissions now, or are you solely focused on your projects?
Well, I should probably be solely focused on my projects, and as a general rule, I don't advertise commissions just because, again, it's time consuming, and I'm going to want to put that project at the top of my list to get it done as quickly as possible for that person. But if someone comes to me and they want something really cool, then yeah, I'd probably say yes.
Nice. Yeah, it's always no, I don't want to do it, and then yes, I'll do it. It's really hard to not have some things like, dude, don't bite off more than you can chew. And I've always told people, when somebody tells me that, I'd rather choke on greatness than nibble on mediocrity. Just give me all you got. So, what are you working on now? What projects you got going on? I guess we can segue into what's new Pikachu, because I know you have. I mean, the last time we talked, you told me all these things you got going on, so I'm pretty sure you have a lot to speak on that. So what do you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, I've always got my brain working on, a million different projects at one time, but right now what I'm really putting my time and effort into is my Patreon that I want to start this week. It's an idea that I've been kind of kicking around for a while, and I finally decided to do it this year, but I want to do cross-stitch patterns for the different horoscope signs, but they're all Pokemon themed, of course. So each month I'm going to release a bigger, more intricate pattern And then I'm also going to release a smaller, sort of like more cutesy pattern for people who maybe don't have as much time to stitch and can't commit to, a 20-hour project. So I'll be doing that. And then I just got the domain name for my website. I really wanted a place to sell my finished embroidery pieces and like prints and stickers and stuff that was not Etsy. And just kind of a place to have like a gallery of my finished work that's a little bit more polished than Instagram. And then I really want to revive the tarot card project this year. I've kind of, set that aside for all the other projects, and it's one that I always really love when I do come back to it. So.
Okay, let's break that up. Let's start with the Patreon. I don't know why I said Pinterest. I think I just wanted to feel accomplished for saying that word, but Patreon. So you're gonna do, and how does Patreon work? You do like tiers on that, correct?
Yeah, so you can pick different tiers, with varying dollar amounts depending on, whatever you choose. I don't think my highest tier is going to be more than like $8 a month right now. I want to start small. I'll try and throw something up on there for people who, want to support me but don't necessarily want cross-stitch patterns because they don't stitch or whatever. But yeah, it'll be pretty simple to start out with. I told myself I was going to do it for 1 year and see if it was successful, and if it is, then, I might branch out a little bit next year, but I'm trying not to bite off more than I can chew or overwhelm myself, so.
Choke on greatness. So, do you have an idea what your tiers are going to look like, or is that still in the process of the works?
Well, as per usual, I'm kind of pushing all my final decisions until the very last second. I'm going to try and open everything up on the 22nd, so I'm short on time, but I'm probably looking at like a $1 tier, maybe a $4 or $5 tier, and then like an $8 tier for the two different patterns, and then, just the basics for people who enjoy my work and want to support me, but don't necessarily want to have cross-stitch patterns.
Okay, cool. So let me pitch an idea at you. Would it be extremely difficult or time consuming or too much for you to maybe offer like maybe an outline and then fill it in or something like kind of like guiding them through, kind of giving them like a little start to it and then have them pick it up, or would that be too much?
No, so, basically what you described is an embroidery pattern, which is essentially just an outline, and then people can kind of fill it in. And I've seen some people do, like, printed fabric, so they have the design, like, printed on there in just ink, and then you can kind of stitch over it. So there's a couple different things that I could look at with that, but until I'm able to have a good setup to do, like, tutorial videos and stuff, I don't know that I'd want to go that route, because one thing that I really enjoy about the crafting community and, is just sharing information and teaching people a skill. And, it'd be important to me to have that aspect of it as well. Cross stitch is a little bit easier to pick up because really all you have to do is, know how to count and make X's.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, that's just between you and me, let's pretend I know nothing about embroidery, just to make it easier for the fan base. But, so patterns, like, and that's just, it has the little X's and everything, and you just kind of follow the designs on it?
Yeah, so, for a cross-stitch pattern, basically the way it looks is it's a grid, and each square is, whatever color that you decide to assign to it. And then you're just counting. So, for example, if you're on one row and you've got 6 squares, you're just going to stitch 6 X's and then go down to the next line, and you're just copying and counting, basically.
Okay. So, you know me pretty good. You know me, we've known each other for a while, and, we talk regularly. As simple and as basic as I am, do you think I'd be able to do something like that? Like, do you think I'd be able to pick up a simplistic pattern and pick up a needle and a thread and get going on it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think anyone can do cross stitch. It's like I said, it's really affordable as a project. It's a fun hobby, and it's cool to see a finished work. The only thing that would maybe be a little bit difficult for you is you have to have patience, and it can be really frustrating when you do mess up to have to go back and pull out all your stitches and start over again. But yeah, I think anybody could do it.
Okay, so let's put an X on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned tutorials. Would you ever consider once this picks up and everything, once you get your fan base built on there, maybe a YouTube to do tutorials on there to show people how to step by steps, or maybe some lives to do it with some people, maybe like a workshop, an online workshop to do some cross stitches with people?
Yeah, I'd love to do that. It's definitely on the to-do list. Part of the reason why I wanted to start Patreon is because I have some, just some tools that I would need. I need a webcam. I need a good spot to stitch with good lighting and everything. And, financially, I don't have the extra for that right now. So I'm hoping that this will sort of help me get the additional tools that I need to be able to do tutorials and videos, and possibly YouTube or just on my website. I'm not sure yet. But, it's definitely on the list for sure.
Oh, that'd be an awesome feature. Do it on YouTube and also have your little segment on your website. Another feature people could look into.
Yeah, I'm really excited about what this year holds. I feel good about it. I've got a lot of big plans, and I'm sure not all of them will pan out, but the ones that do, I'm definitely stoked for it.
Well, I mean, that's good that you're going for it. Even if something doesn't work out, you can always say that you tried it and have that accomplishment of knowing that you gave it your all with it. But I'm pretty sure it has. It will. I've seen, your stuff, and the quality and the expertise that goes into it is just breathtaking. It's really beautiful to see you finishing up a project. I'm super excited for you to finish that Houndoom tarot card, because I've been waiting on that one, and it's not happening.
I know. I really need to work on that. I'm trying to have it done by the end of the month, so we'll see how that goes. But once it's done, I think that's probably going to be the first tarot card that I actually do prints of, because the other ones are pretty and I liked them, but I feel like the quality of this one is, it's my fourth one, so I've really improved since the first one that I did, and I think it'll make a good print for sure.
Oh, definitely a print or stickers or something. So, kind of fill us in with the tarot card project. The last one I remember was the cube one, right?
Yeah, so we did the Magician, which was Del Fox, and then we did the Lovers, which was Umbreon and Espeon, and then Death was Cubone and some Duskull, and then the Devil is Houndoom. And I think the next one we were talking about doing was the High Priestess card with, like, Gardevoir, probably. Hopefully stuff for him, because she's all fancy.
Yeah, that's dope. Do you guys have it lined out on who's gonna be what, or are you just kind of going with the moment and figuring it out as they come?
Well, as far as working collaboratively with Elijah, we kind of work well, like, just figuring out when we're ready to do the next one. Because if we plan too far ahead, then ideas change, and, in the case of Gen 8 and everything, new Pokemon come out, so there's a lot of, stuff from the Galar region that I'd like to incorporate. We just kind of have, like, a little mini brainstorming session whenever I'm getting ready to wrap up the last tarot card, and then he does the artwork for the next one.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, because, like I said, the Houndoom, that's going to be dope when it's finished. And then the High Priestess is next, and excited to see what's going to happen, because those have been coming out really cool, and I'd love to see some prints, maybe some stickers, something people could pick up and throw on their art wall, hint, hint.
Yeah, I hear ya. I gotta find a good printmaker, though. I need to do some research, so if anybody knows of a good printmaker, definitely drop me a line so I can check them out.
Oh, and Nefarious is good with that. She does a lot of cool prints. I'll get some info from her for you, or link you guys up, or what. You follow her, don't you?
Yeah, I'll shoot her a message and see what she's got to say.
Yeah, she's got some solid prints. So tarot cards.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, her stuff's amazing. I love all of her card alters that she does.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's got really cool projects, and all the cross projects she has with other people are really neat to see too.
Mhm.
Okay, so the tarot cards. That's a work in progress. And now you're working on the horoscope, correct?
Yeah, so I really wanted to incorporate like a lot of the celestial aspect and like the constellation and so like the first one that I'm doing for this month is Aquarius, and it's like the center of the pattern is like a crystal ball, and in the crystal ball is like kind of a galaxy gradient with the Aquarius constellation in there. And then on the base that's holding the crystal ball, it's got like two little Pokeballs and like the Aquarius symbol of the little waves. And then it's got Suicune kind of over the top, and then it's got like some little beads that'll be hanging down from the crystal ball. So it's pretty intricate. The final pattern is almost a foot long. So it's a little bit bigger than I had in my head, but when I made the pattern, it turned out so cool that I didn't really want to size it down and lose any of the detail. So we're going big, I guess.
Nice. And so 12, right? There's gonna be 12 different horoscopes. What are they called?
Yeah.
Signs. There you go, signs.
Horoscopes. Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
Okay, yeah, and again, same question. Do you have that panned out, or is it again kind of go as you go?
Well, I tried to sit down and kind of collect a little bit of reference art for like the first 6 or 7, just to kind of choose Pokemon, and the center design is going to be the same on all of them. So they'll all have the crystal ball, they'll all have the constellation, and then the only thing that's going to be super different is like the color palette. I might change up the beads a little bit, and then the different Pokemon, obviously. So, like for Pisces, I'm going to do Magikarp. For Cancer, I'll do like Kingler, probably. Tauros is Tauros.
Really?
Yeah, that one will be easy.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting. That's going to be really neat to see. I'm excited to see what creative ideas you have and interpretation for the horoscopes, because I mean I would assume that was about a 2-hour thinking process to come up with Taurus for Taurus.
Yeah, it was rough, but you know, in the end, I was able to figure it out.
Oh, kudos to you, lady. Kudos to you. So tell us about your website. What plans do you have for it, and what are you hoping on accomplishing with your website?
Well, for my website, mostly I wanted a place to sell my finished embroidery pieces. They're not cheap, and selling stuff like that through your DMs on Instagram is not very easy, as I've discovered. Because, you know, you get multiple offers from multiple people, and then I don't know how to choose. So it's just easier, I think, to have it, you know, posted in one spot. And then I also really want to sell prints and, you know, stickers and everything, and I feel like I've been on Etsy for a long time, but I'm ready to transition to something that's just mine. And like I said, hopefully do like some kind of tutorial videos on there, possibly a newsletter, but for now I'm going to have most of that stuff on Patreon and just sort of grow my website, you know, as I go, as almost a side project. I'm going to try and have it up and running by February, but I don't know that it's really going to be running at full speed until like the holiday season, probably, because I've got a lot of other stuff going on.
Oh yeah. I mean, it sounds like you have all these different projects and everything, so it's really hard juggling all your time to get everything going.
Yeah, for sure.
So, are you for the? Let me backpedal real quick. Are you working with any artists for the horoscope project, or is that all you?
No, this one's all me. I did consider it, but with my schedule being as complex as it is, and me being so busy, sometimes it's easier to just have something that, like, I don't have to try and collaborate with anybody, and I can just, whenever I have a free second, you know, sit down and write down all my ideas. And you know, it's hard to make a cross stitch pattern off of line art too. So I think for cross stitch patterns, it's easier for me to kind of work on it on my own. Whereas with the embroidery, there's a little bit more freedom for artistic expression because you're working with lines instead of blocks. So it can be a little bit smoother, and it's easier to work from somebody else's line art that way.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So horoscopes, embroidery, website, Etsy. Anything else that you're pondering on that, further down the road? I'm pretty sure your mind's always ticking on ideas. Anything else that you're kind of wanting to dabble with? Anything that you're kind of scared to tackle?
Well, I kind of jumped into it last year. I really want to embroider on clothes. That to me is kind of the next project that I want to tackle at some point. I tried doing that Bulbasaur on the shorts pocket, but man, it takes so much thread and so much time, and it's difficult working with a thicker fabric. I'm used to really thin, cotton or linen. But for me, I think that'd be really cool. I'd really like to make myself a big jacket. I have a white denim jacket that I've been hanging on to for a long minute, and I want to stitch on there my original team of 6 from way back, like on Pokemon Red. So that's kind of the next thing that I have on my brain whenever I get around to it and finish all my other projects.
Oh, nice. That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome rocking your embroideries everywhere.
Yeah, it'd be fun for sure.
So you talked about your original 6. Now with Galar out, are there any new Pokemon that you're excited to embroider, to tackle?
Yes. So I don't know if you saw the trailer for the new DLC that's coming out in June, but that Gigantamax Venusaur and the new Galar Zapdos, I almost died. I was so happy when I saw their designs. They're so cool looking, and they're definitely getting stitched at some point here before the end of the year.
Yeah, you're digging that bowl cut?
I love him. He's so cute. I love the giant flower, and I love how the new Zapdos looks like a chocobo. Like he's got that Roadrunner thing going on, and it's super fun. I love it.
Yeah, one of them has, which one? I can't remember which one it was. Has the tuxedo mask, kind of mask looking thing on his face, doesn't he?
Yeah, Articuno. He's got the mask. He's got the laser eyes now. He's so cool.
It's cool to see how they interpreted them, and for me, I think, whatever. Bulbasaur is always weird, but Blastoise.
Nice now.
Blastoise just looks so bulky, so I don't know. Venusaur's design's pretty dope, but Blastoise's design is just too clunky for my taste.
Yeah, I'm not sure what about his design I don't love, but I kind of wish they had done something a little differently. And it's hard to say because you're just seeing like one quick still. It's not like you can really see the character fleshed out in 3D yet, so I'll reserve judgment until the DLC comes out. But yeah, I feel like they kind of spent all their time and energy on Venusaur and Charizard, and Blastoise kind of got left out a little bit in his design.
Yeah, well, Venusaur's a real fan favorite too. I mean, Bulbasaur's cute. I'll admit that. He's super adorable. He's dumb as hell, but super, super cute. And like the whole bowl cut thing, I guess that's cute too in a kind of 7th grade boy kind of way. But
you like it. It's cool.
I'm just giving you a hard time. But yeah, Blastoise is just, they did him no fan service. And whatever. I'm over it. But those, and the Reggies, right? Reggies are supposed to get some new ones too.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Kanto lady. That's where I started, and so the original 151, I'm always going to be pretty excited to see their designs. But the Reggies look cool from what I've seen so far, for sure.
I'm kind of bummed out Gyarados didn't get a cool Gigantamax for him.
Yeah, it might be coming though. I feel like they've got more plans for this region than what they're letting on, and I'm hoping that they continue to release more Gigantamax forms and everything, because most of the ones that I've seen so far I really loved, and they're really creative and interesting.
Have you seen the Garbodor one?
I have.
Yeah.
Where he's got like the plane and like the boat and everything.
Yeah. I think that's freaking awesome. Like, because, they're supposed to be like really big, and that's a testament to its size. Like, it's got houses and a freaking trailer, and there's probably a Blastoise stuck in there somewhere. Oh, yeah, it's exciting to see what they're going to do. I'd like to see some more Gigantamax forms, too. There's a couple that didn't receive any at all, which, I mean, it would have been cool. But then again, it would have been a lot to do, like, every single one, too, where it'd be to the point where, like, they're just kind of throwing stuff together,
Yeah, I mean, I can appreciate them starting out small, at least, because coming up with new designs must be really hard, especially for a Pokemon that's already, been around for a long time. So I would prefer to have them spend more time and energy doing it right and making them look cool for the ones they really do versus trying to give, every single one an alternate form.
Right. You can only offer so much. Like I've said before, you can't please everybody. So you gotta take your hits, you gotta take your victories, and I mean, as far as I've heard, everybody's loving it. You have minor complaints from people here and there with grievances like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, but for the most part, everybody seems to be really receptive to everything that they're offering, and the DLC is really exciting to look forward to because I mean they got those two legendaries too, that Fighting Panda one and the Cotton Ball Bunny one. Those are pretty weird looking too.
I did see those. I'm excited to see a lot of the old legendaries come back from previous games too. I think they were putting in almost every single one, so that'll be cool to see. More Pokemon added to the game. That was one thing where, it's Pokemon, and I'm a fan, and I'm always going to play the games. But I was pretty bummed to hear that they cut so many from the roster. So I'm excited to see them start adding them back in. Yeah,
well, they're dropping another 200, and I'm curious if anybody should get Galar forms or Gigantamax forms, it should be the legendaries and like the pseudos and everything. Because I mean, this is supposed to be Pokemon's last series, so they should go out with a bang.
Yeah, I hope it's not. I hope they keep making games, but I also understand,
they're not going to. They're going to keep throwing money at them.
Go. Yeah.
It's like, no, it doesn't matter what they make. We're going to gobble it all up, but we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. Like you said, you can only plan so far up ahead before plans change, and you just kind of have to roll with it.
Yeah.
So let's get back on track here. Is it difficult? Because you said your time restraints, your job, your everything that you got going on. Is it difficult to stay on top of what do you want to call it? Marketing, advertising, especially with this new algorithm that dropped?
It is. I try and do research as much as possible versus focusing on how terrible it is and, oh gosh, I'm not going to get any more likes or I'm not getting as much attention or whatever. It's a game, and just like every game, there's always a way to win. And so I spend time on YouTube looking up, what the algorithm is actually doing and trying to figure out how to make my posts and my work fit within what they want to see, because it's a free platform and I'm not having to pay for it, so I can't really complain too hard. But yeah, I've definitely seen a change in my engagement when they've changed the algorithm, and it definitely throws a little bit of stress my way, for sure.
So, okay, you said you did the research, and I remember talking about it with you around the time that it happened. What can you tell us, or like what advice can you give to people to kind of stay on top of it? Let's start at the top. What changes were made to it that from your research? What things are different now than before?
Well, it's been a minute since I did a whole lot of research into it, and they're changing things on a pretty regular basis, it seems like. But from what I can tell, they're trying to diversify the platform a little bit. So instead of just having a bunch of pictures that people just like and scroll all day, they want you to do videos. They want you to do lives. They want you to post in your stories. They want you to They want people to save your posts instead of just liking it, and that tells them whether or not a post is actually popular versus just having a lot of likes. So, for me, I'm trying to find ways to take better pictures and post more videos, keep up on my stories, and basically do things that are going to show Instagram that I have an account that people want to engage with, and so they're going to promote it more on the Explore page, and help me expand my audience versus me just posting a bunch and getting likes from people who are already following me.
Right, yeah, and I'm sure one of the most difficult things, and something that Instagram would want, I'm assuming, is audience engagement, because that's one of the things I have the hardest time with. Where like I'll ask a question or I'll try to get people to comment or say something, and it's just like and move on. It's like, no, like engage people. I would rather you leave one comment on one picture than serial like 1,000 of my last posts.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess the biggest thing I can say as far as that goes, and what's kind of worked for me, is give what you want to get. So if you want people to comment on your posts, make sure you're commenting on everybody's posts. Put yourself out there in the community, and from what I've seen, people will respond to that and do the same thing for you. So that's something that I've seen a little bit of success with. I don't have time for it as much these days, but it's definitely worked in the past.
Oh, that's cool, because I don't remember you leaving any comments on my pictures, but no big deal. This isn't about me.
I will have to start doing that, for sure.
I'm just saying, if you want my engagement, you're going to have to, give a little this way.
Yeah, if I'm going to give advice, I better learn to take it, right?
So what advice would you give, besides engagement? Is there like a post quantity you should be doing? Story quantity? What things would you suggest in that field?
That's probably getting a little bit more complicated than I've really had a whole lot of time to research, but for stories, I try and do like 1 or 2, at least 3 a day if possible. And in my stories, I keep things a little bit more personal than just posting pictures of my work all the time, because it's easier to engage with people if you're kind of putting yourself out there a little bit more. As far as posts go, I think once every couple days is probably fine, depending on the size of your audience and what your content actually is. But the biggest thing for me is figuring out what time of day to post, like when most people are active on Instagram. And I have a business account, so I don't know if everybody has this, but it'll show me like what hours of the day during what day of the week the most people are on Instagram, and so I can kind of try and time my posts for when the most people are going to see them, and I have the best chance for good engagement right out of the gate. So Instagram is more likely to promote my post over the next couple hours and days versus posting when no one else is online, and then Instagram assumes that, okay, well, nobody likes this, on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's a bummer too, because I'll scroll through my feed and I'll see the same repetitive pictures, or I'll see some people's stuff doesn't even ever show up. Like, I'll go to their account, I'm like, dude, how come I didn't see any of this? And it's a bummer, because if you're not being constant, if you're not being regular, then you kind of get buried under all of it. And it sucks, because there's some stuff that, like, I enjoy looking. There's some people's posts that they don't post very often, but when they do, like, I'd like to see it. And it's, for myself personally, too, I'll post, like, at 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, man, nobody's going to see it. But, at the end of the day, it's like posting what I want when I want, so screw the algorithm.
Indeed. That needs to be my next cross-stitch piece. Screw the algorithm.
So we covered a lot. And, you have a lot going on. It's hard having so many ideas and so little time in the day. So, is there something more that you want to get out of it? Like, are you hoping to make more business out of it? Get something more like of a brand out of what you're doing now?
I I'd really like to, but I struggle with knowing how to sort of expand my embroidery because as much as I hate to admit it, my time is limited and I can't quit my job because, I need to pay rent. So it's hard to know really where to go from here. Like, how much bigger can I get just with stitching? But, I don't want to limit myself. If I could do this full time at some point, I would absolutely love to. But I'm trying to take it one step at a time and, grow in baby steps and hopefully eventually something bigger will come out of it because I love embroidery, I love fiber art, and if I could spend all day, every day doing it, I absolutely would.
And how the fiber art community, is it so you look at card alters, there's like so many people that do it, so I'm pretty sure it's a lot more difficult to kind of break into that field, kind of become more, sell more in that sense, because there's so many people doing it. But how is it for your art style? Do you see a lot of competition, or is it more limited because not a lot of people are doing it?
There's a lot of people that do some really amazing embroidery. I mean, there's people that can make a photorealistic portrait of your dog. It's incredible, the skill and talent that's out there. But, I haven't really looked for other people doing Pokemon embroidery, but I don't know that I've really seen anybody else doing the kind of things that I'm doing. So I don't have any direct competition that I'm aware of, but there are definitely embroidery artists out there that they've got amazing skills, and I'm pretty sure it's their full-time job because their work is amazing.
Right, yeah, and I've seen maybe like one or two people make one or two, but not to any type of radar, or not to the level of like bumping anybody's radar. I think you're the only one that I've seen do it more commercially. Everybody's kind of like one here or there, and I've seen some really intricate ones too. They've popped up in my discovery, but like you said, it's like more detailed and everything, which I'm assuming is a lot more expensive. And you look at the Pokemon community, you kind of have to base what you're gonna make on what people are kind of willing to spend, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does, and that's part of the reason why I want to look at making prints, because even for smaller pieces, pricing my work is something I've really struggled with because I want it to be accessible to people, but I also want to be fairly compensated for my time, and not everybody can afford to spend a couple $100s on, an 8-inch embroidery hoop. It's a lot of money, so for me, I think making prints is really the only way that I would be able to scale my business in a way that's not taking up every spare second of my time. And it's also affordable to people who want that art, but can't afford to spend half their rent money buying some fabric and some thread.
Right, and I think that's one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have about artists. You're not buying an 8-inch embroidery piece. You're buying those 5 years that artist spent perfecting their craft. You're buying those 6 hours that it took them to put that together. You know what I mean? Like, you're paying for everything. It's not simple to do something that intricate. And some people kind of don't appreciate the effort and work that goes into these pieces.
Yeah. But, it's none of my business what somebody's willing to pay for my art. I'm trying to price it as fairly as I can, and everybody who has purchased one of my pieces seems to be really happy about it, and I've never had anyone come back and question me about the price. So I guess I'm doing something right, hopefully. But I'm always really thankful when someone is wanting my art enough to pay what I ask for it. It feels good.
I bet it's rewarding, and then you could always just hit them with the motto, don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah, in a kind, professional way, of course, but yeah.
Or if you want the non-professional version, send them my way.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, that's awesome. So much awesome stuff covered. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see everything that you got going on. I'm hoping to see more of your stuff out there. Um, Hurry up with that Houndoom. You know, no rush, but
I know, I gotta get it done.
so let's pick a Pokemon. Let's we talked about some of the newer ones and whatever. That Pokedex numbering is weird. So let's just go with the original 807. And we did one earlier because we didn't want to go back and forth on mobile devices. So 807 Pokemon, we landed on number 738, Vikable. X, because it's awesome, or why did they make it? What says you, Missy?
Well, I never used Vikavolt, but I mean, I do like electric types, so I'll give him an X. He's got a cool shiny. And even the original has got nice colors. I don't know if I would put him on the to-do list for my stitching, but yeah, I'll give him a thumbs up.
Yeah, Vikable is dope. He's like a taser bug, or like a starship. I give him a big X. He's not dumb and humanoid.
Yeah, it was so weird that they did that with all the starters. I mean, whatever, Pokemon, you can do whatever you want, but it wasn't my favorite choice that they made.
Well, the thing is that they've done it for a while now too, with Alola, Incineroar. It's like, come on, man, that's a freaking wrestler. That's a furry wrestler.
He totally is.
It's like they want to start marketing to the furry community. Like, no, Pokemon, stop. Just don't.
I mean, I think they've been inadvertently marketing to them for a long time, whether they realized it or not. But yeah, they're starting to go that direction. It seems like, for sure.
Good. Well, I mean, we got a good one. We've had a couple of Ys in the past, so good choice. So, Missy, thank you again for your time. Thank you for taking time out of your day and talking to us about your projects. We'll plug you at the end with all your information in the description. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for checking out this episode, and stay tuned when it goes up. So, Missy, let's hit them with the closing ceremonial statement. You want to go first or me?
You can go first.
All right. So, may your codes be white.
And may your poles be gold.
See ya.